And welcome everybody to another episode of Real Men Being Men. I look mighty dark on this thing. Real Men Being Men. Real Men Being Men. We got a great broadcast lineup for you this evening. We got what we call, in case this is your first time viewing this, I sound kind of loud in my ear there. Turn the thing down some. We got what we call four square conversation. We got what we call four square conversation. We have four different squares and we talk about them for 30 minutes apiece. Now, sometimes we have four, sometimes we have three, sometimes we only have one, based on how the conversation is going and how the flow of everything is. But before we go another step further, before we do anything different, we got to say good evening to the gentleman on the line. I'm Raheem. I'm not important. Let's go first to Rico. Rico, tell everybody who you are, brother, and where you're hailing from.
I'm Rico Jackson. I'm hailing from Anniston, Alabama.
Good deal, good deal. And to your, I guess that would be to your left, we have Pastor. Pastor, tell everybody who you are, brother, and where you're hailing from.
All right, I'm Pastor Brown from Tabernacle of Worship in Morrow, Georgia.
Good deal, good deal. And we have on the phone line, Donald Toussaint. Tell everybody who you are, sir, and where you're hailing from. I guess I just told them who you are, didn't I?
I am just from Appaloosa, Louisiana.
Oh, Lord.
I am actually from there, but in Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Pascagoula. Boy, look at here. Boy, look at you. I know with all them letters in you got to know your alphabet, brother. Because you use every letter in the alphabet with them names there. Yeah, Mississippi. That's where you're from, brother. That's exactly where you're from. We're gonna kick this thing off, man, and we're gonna kick it off a little rough tonight. We're gonna start off a little rough tonight, and but I know with the maturity of what we have here, we can definitely handle this particular topic. Rico, gonna start it off with you, brother. How powerful of a drug is sex on America?
On America, on people, period.
Yeah,
but it's very powerful over here in America. I mean, it's pretty much used as a marketing tool.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's acceptable as a way for you to make money. You know, not only to market it as something to do, but actually a way for you to market yourself. I mean, actually, people are selling sets. They're kidnapping young girls and putting them across state lines, taking them all across the United States, pimping them out forcefully. But then, you know, that's one sad side about it. But then, you know, along with a lot of other things that we happen to see people conform to, some women are willingly volunteering.
Yeah.
Pimping themselves, you know. And so, you know, that really goes to show you how favorable it looks now. In today's society, it's looked upon as something that's acceptable. If it's a means, then you know, I'm gonna say if you can find a way to justify it, you know, if it makes money. And so, you know, that's the type of power that it has over people. And it actually, it messes up the workplace, the work environment. You know, you actually have people that you come to work with and you get to know, and then finally, sooner or later, you start getting a little too close, start fraternizing. Before you know it, you start getting all these emotions involved. And then you have a situation that's going on where, you know, you can't concentrate on work the way you're supposed to. You know, you're worried about the supervisor trying to talk to whoever it is that you're dealing with, whether you're a man or a woman. You're worried about, imagine bringing intimate problems to the job. An argument you had at home about who didn't cook last night.
Yeah.
Or who was texting your phone. Who picture was that you liked? All because you decided to start dipping in that Kool-Aid with this person that you used to work next to. You know what I mean? So it could be a serious thing, man. I mean, you know, it has a huge impact on American society and culture. You know, like I said, it's to the point now to where people are willing to enslave people to a certain extent, human traffic them, kidnap them, take them across state lines, and sell them. I saw a video a couple of weeks ago, and this guy, he goes around and he interviews different streetwalkers in California, and it was this young girl out there. I guess she was maybe 21 or 22. Very cute girl. She grew up in a family of women that stripping was okay. So she went into stripping, and then, like everybody says, coronavirus hit. So when COVID hit, she had to adapt and adjust. And her adjustment was to go ahead and start street walking. And she started talking about it was one guy two guys tried to kidnap her. She thought they were gonna try to kill her. She thought it was just one guy, but another guy was in the backseat hiding. Then another guy robbed her, pulled a gun on her. She had to fight him. She had to fight different rapists. And as she was telling this story, she was telling it like it was just an everyday thing. Normal, like it was normal. Just automatically natural, you know, something that you expect, something that it is a normal way of life. And I was like, man, this don't sound right, man. You know, she doesn't even look terrified. She said she was traumatized, but she was still out there doing it, all for that money.
Wow. Pastor Brown, how powerful of a drug is sex on I say America, but Rico, like he said, the world. How powerful is that thing?
It really can be destructive. When we say sex, we just want to be clear as far as improper sex.
Yes.
Sex outside of your marriage, and even sex within marriage, if it's not appropriate, if it's not, you know, to express your love and intimacy with your spouse, but if you're trying to abuse them or dominate them, domineer them, whether it's male or female, that makes it improper. But it's when sex is used more so for control than anything else, then that's when it becomes an issue, and that is an issue in our country. But it also is not, sex in of itself isn't the issue. It's what augments the person, the things that are already in you. If you have that nature, if you have that those issues that you haven't dealt with, then it'll come out in that. It'll come out in that. And where you will abuse relationships. Rico is absolutely right as far as how even when we're looking at sex trafficking and things of that nature, because it is real.
Yes, sir.
It's not as reported on as much now as it was, I think maybe 4 years ago, when it really started. And it's actually something for over a decade or more that has been going on. Right here around the world, it's been going on for forever. But right here in the United States, when they're bold enough to, you know, pull up to a Walmart and snatch a girl, and you know, people never hear from her again. You know, those things are, it speaks to the issue within what's within man, what's within our hearts. That's what it's really speaking toward. So yeah, it can be a very dangerous thing, and it's being used in dangerous ways.
Absolutely. I think we're gonna do something a little different tonight. On the Real Men Being Men, we're gonna have on this section, and we're gonna just see how this thing work out. We're gonna have open dialogue. We can actually just jump in and have a conversation based around this, because I think this is something that this could be a moment of healing for a lot of people. I see we have Toussaint there. Toussaint, we have some issues with your feed, brother. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm having some net issues, but I'm on the phone.
Okay, good deal. So Toussaint, let me ask you the same question, man. How powerful of a drug is sex on America and the world? How powerful of a drug is it?
You ever saw somebody about to OD and they don't even realize it, and they're happy about it? That's where we are. That's just me, man. I mean, we're so addicted. I say we, this country.
Yes, absolutely.
America. And it's not only America, because the other countries, this world operates the same. We just know what we're familiar with. We're familiar with America.
Yes.
But then we've gotten to the point that we're willing to extend ourselves into other avenues, to the point where it don't have to be a man and a woman. It don't have to be just the plain old simple, not plain old simple, but you know what I mean when I say
Yes,
this.
absolutely.
It don't have to be fornication or adultery. It goes to the extent that if I'm not satisfied, and this is just me now, y'all help me with this conversation that Pastor John and Rico, they've gotten to the point where you have men that claim that they are not homosexual, but they are probably a man. The same way with a woman. And we've gotten so addicted, or the drug has already overtaken the society so much that you looking at Rover and he's starting to look good. I'm telling you, people are freaky D.
He said freaky dick.
Yeah. I mean, desires, man. Desires is not. I mean, not just temptation, but well, I guess they two coincide with each other. You know, but temptation would probably go more with that. You know, temptation is so dangerous. It's almost like a drug. You know, and you actually see a lot of society gets consumed with that, especially American society. You know, we are the biggest consumers on the planet.
Exactly.
You know, so,
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, you think about it, that's just one of the many things. You know, they talk about all the drugs that we consume. We are some of the biggest consumers. I can remember a point in time where it wasn't. I'm gonna say you weren't recognized or applauded for being a stripper, but now they are respected and applauded, celebrated to a certain extent. I think about Cardi B. Cardi B sells promiscuous loose womanhood, and it earned her. It earned
Rico,
her.
have we taken a step backwards, man, or a few steps backwards when we acknowledge or give respect in those regards? Have we taken a step backwards?
Yeah, definitely have. But I mean, people respect it because it makes money. I mean, they got a TV show now, Beyond the Pole, on Week. And
Wow.
when you listen to those women talk, man, you know, they talk about why they missed the club, and one minute they say they hate it, but then the next minute they missed that money. They hate it, but then they think about that money that they made and they miss it. $2,000 and $3,000 a night, you know, and so it's applauded, and it's applauded because of the fact that they make that type of money, and it became something that women actually started I'm gonna say fantasizing about. They want they want to be that stripper now. You know, like I said in the past, I remember when it wasn't acceptable. Now you have a platform of Craigslist and Backpage. They were doing it, you know, not forcefully, voluntarily, selling themselves because sex is that valuable to people.
What does it value a man or woman to gain the world but to lose his or her soul? Reverend John, good evening, sir. How you doing this evening?
All is well. How you brother doing tonight?
Hey, doing good, man. We got what we call full square conversation. We're doing the broadcast a little bit different. We have an open dialogue tonight, so we're doing it just a little bit different, certainly for this part here. And the question that we're asking is, how powerful of a drug is sex on America and the world? How powerful of a drug is sex on America and the world? What would you say to that?
Well, you know, we're just talking candidly. Strip clubs, especially when you start talking about down in Florida with the King of Diamonds, you start talking about Magic City, and you start talking about Atlanta. You know, I've talked to guys from the suites to the streets, and the culture here in Atlanta, and I've been here since 1984. There's a lot of strip clubs here, from the Gold Club to you name them. And the problem became they started calling it Gentlemen's Club, and they made it fashionable. You have a lot of men or a lot of people are doing business around the golf, playing golf, but a lot of deals is being done in the strip club. They have restaurants in the strip club, so it's dancing going on, but it's all kind of stuff going on, and it's almost like they've made it acceptable, and it's like we're gonna do this business, and we're gonna have all of these beautiful women around us at the same time, and they're gonna be naked, but we're gonna be having a good time and making money. So it has become now so much a part.
Hey, Reverend, are they? Is it almost like? And I'm gonna jump in every now and then. Y'all bear with me. But it's so much going on right now. My thing is it almost like they're dancing? You talking about the ladies just walking around naked? You trying to make? Is it like they're dancing with the devil? Is that pretty much what I'm hearing?
Oh, for sure. It's the devil's work. It's definitely the devil's work. Now let's not be confused on that now. And Satan is very subtle. I watched a program one time, man, and it was talking about the power of suggestive selling. And so they like to have some ice in a glass, and it looked like they was just advertising the Coke or whatever they was advertising, but the ice that was down in the glass was actually a naked woman with her breast. So subliminally, it was in the advertisement. So your mind picked it up. If you look at a lot of our cars, even like the cars that we have, they have shapes and hips like a woman's body. And so subliminally, sex is being pushed down our throats. And I'm a sexual being, but I'm saying even if I wasn't, they're projecting it so hard and entwining it into merchandising. You're gonna have to have some God up in you, because it's being done right in front of your face.
Wow, that's good.
And I seen a lady the other day on church, man. I was watching TV, brother. This sister, man, was a part of the praise and worship team, Doc. So you can have a bra that fits you and holds you. She just jugging up on. I'm like, what? I mean, she just, and I'm like, what? Are we what?
I know, brother. I know. Let me keep this thing going, brother. We got our Badger with us. Badger, I'm gonna ask the same question, brother. And I'm gonna tell you, we got a few people that's joining us for the first time. Let me explain what we do here. We do something called Four Square Conversation. We have 4 different topics we talk about in 30 minutes. But sometimes, much like I think this topic is going to supersede and go a little bit further. But typically we have 4 topics and we talk about those 4 topics for 30 minutes. But I think this one right here, we got to go a little further with this one because there's so much to put out there. Let me go to Badger. Badger, we asking the question, how powerful of a drug is sex on America and the world? How powerful of a drug is sex on America and the world? Badger, what do you say to that?
Man, well, I'm ready to dive into the ocean now. So some of you guys know my history and my background, and the trauma growing up and things like that. But one of the most interesting things through all my research and stuff, for anyone that isn't here, I'll kind of touch base on my history. Grew up in an abusive home, pretty much obeyed women at all costs because that's the only thing my brain understood because of the trauma I experienced at home. Found out that because of having a traumatic brain that developed this concept that I have to obey a woman no matter what, it's also a form of rape because I'm doing it only because the woman wants it. I'm not actually willing to do it. And because the physical body reacts, people think I was willing to do it, but it's just a physical reaction. It's not,
it's not a desire that you have.
And it took me seeing counselor and talking about it for a while to realize that. but that evolved into me doing a lot of research.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think
Um,
bad. Go ahead.
I told him to hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
But through my research, I started looking into why are people addicted to sex? Why are they addicted to alcohol? Why are they getting addicted to drugs and all this stuff? And one of the biggest things I found out is there's such an addiction to sex in this, especially in America, because we're not happy. We have a void.
Mm-hmm.
So people
Okay.
are seeking the I'm trying to remember what the word is. The it's not neurons.
Endorphins.
It's yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
To get the endorphins, because every day we wake up, those of us that haven't learned how to be thankful in every moment, even though we do that, we still have those days that it kind of hits us hard sometimes. We have that
Mm-hmm.
little bit of depression and stuff like that. And it's easy to fall into that pattern of, I want to feel happy again.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what is one of the easiest things to do nowadays? Go find you a partner and get those endorphins.
Mm-hmm.
So, because this world right now is in such turmoil, you have the black versus white stuff. You have the Native Americans fighting with this. You've got the Chinese, Asians, Koreans, whatever group or race or whatever terminology a person wants to use, spitting this hatred back and forth. And then if you go into religion, like where I live, I'm a very spiritual person. But I have to be careful of how I talk around here, because if it isn't exactly the way they want me to speak about Christianity, I am exercised. Not
Mm-hmm.
exercised.
Ostracized.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So stress is a constant factor from the moment we wake up until we go to sleep. And it even
Mm-hmm.
affects us in our sleep through dreams and things like that. So a lot of people are going to seek those endorphins are a way to get happy and to get that good vibe going, to go to sleep, to have some good dreams. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Wow.
don't feel that like the addiction is truly the sex. The addiction is to finding something that makes us happy emotionally, spiritually, because we are lacking in the spiritual concept of any
Mm-hmm.
connection, and the only way to connect to another human being nowadays is through some kind of sexual act.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm. That's good.
it's depressing to see that people
Mm-hmm.
have not been taught how to connect to creation. And creation isn't just talking to God. Creation is talking to another human being who is
Mm-hmm.
also part of this created world that this being created.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. And
I can
without
keep
me,
going. I'll stop.
no, I got you. I was about to go to Jay. I think we just lost Jay, but let me go back. Let me go back to Rico. Rico, what's on your heart, brother? And like I said, this is going to be open. It's a little different than what we usually do. It's going to be an open dialogue. So y'all, brothers, just don't talk over top of each other, but jump in when you feel you have something to say. Rico, what's on your heart?
See, that's that gratification that human beings look for.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it comes very easy with pleasure, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you can get it from another person. Like to me, me personally, myself, when I went through my sexual addiction stage and I was just running through women, it all came from the fact of wanting recognition
Mm-hmm.
and a sense of accomplishment. It felt like I did something and I left a memory with them. That actually used to be my motivation. I say to myself, you know what, man, I want them to remember me 10 years from now, 20
Mm-hmm.
years from now. I want something to cross their mind and they'd be like, man, I remember this one night with Rico. Woo, woo.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I needed. And it was that gratification. That's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much what he was just talking about.
So Rico, it was more than just the act. It was the impression and the imprint that you was able to leave on that individual.
Well,
So
you
go ahead.
find some type of self-value, some self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
When you see, I don't want to call it a purpose, But to actually see that, I don't want to say you conquered this woman, but you sort of conquered her, and then at the same time she felt good about it, and then she blew your ego up. She told you was the best she ever had, and this and that. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, you know what? I'm the man. Now you know what? I think that's why I want to be known as a man, and it gets to a point where you have some men that will do it, and they might not even want this woman, but it's just the fact that this other man has her. So he needs to feel like he's better than the next man by taking him out with this woman that he likes or she liked him. Stepping in, I'm the bigger man. You know, it's about getting those notches on your belt. That's just an accomplishment too. You know, a lot of people only find some self-value in something that simple and something that small because they never accomplished anything else that they got recognized for.
Pastor, what's on your heart? And are we, because of the fact that we can quote unquote conquer a lady in that area, does that make us a man? Does that make us man, Pastor?
Well, before I say anything, I think Badger was about to jump in, so I wanted to give him a chance to say something.
Badger, you wanted to say something, Badger?
I was gonna say, until they tell you that, they might tell you it's great and stuff, but that doesn't mean they like your size.
Wow.
You jumped right on in. You jumped right on in, Badger.
I said I was going to jump into the ocean. You man.
You see that you got to remember that ego thing.
Yeah.
Some men won't pay attention to that. They're gonna hear that little part and they're just gonna be like, "Oh man, I'm the king. I'm the king. I'm the man." You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, the woman will blow up your ego in a heartbeat. You know, and that'll make a man feel like he's something. He stick his check in. You remember Martin did a comedy show one time. He said he went and stood in the bathroom and drank his Kool-Aid.
Exactly.
I did that. Look at me. You get
So I
Pastor,
wanted to share something.
Hold on one. Okay. Go ahead, Patrick.
An elder taught me this. An elder and someone I would call a grandmother. You know, like a mother of a tribe. Taught me the importance of a woman is that they can break or make a man. No matter what, no matter how much ego or pride we think we have, a woman could make us stronger or make us weaker through actions, words, and a heartbeat. That is the power of a woman. And we always try to take it through pleasure or things of that nature and not respect it and uplift it so it isn't used in the wrong way.
Good deal. Pastor, finish your thought, brother.
Well, actually, Badger had something there. That's the whole premise of King Lemuel's treatise, if you want, from Proverbs 31. We always talk about the Proverbs 31 woman. Well, that's what he was talking about. Remember, he said a wise woman build. This was what his mom was saying to him. A wise woman will build her house. She has just that much authority and power to be able to do it. Now, the king can rule, because remember, she was writing to her son who would become the king, so that he would know how to deal with women and how to pick the right woman and how to avoid loose women.
Yes.
So she was saying, this came from a mama saying, look, this is what you need to understand. And so here's the thing. Notice the mother was talking to her son so that he had something, a foundation on the inside of him, that he could know and understand what to look for and what to reject. And he wasn't looking to be affirmed from other people because he already knew who he was.
Yes. He
This
knew
is
his
where
position.
the issue comes.
Yeah.
This is where the problem that we have. Everyone has spoken around it or spoken towards it, in one way or another. But that's where this sex addiction becomes an issue. It's an addiction because we're trying to feel something else, or feel something that was meant to be filled another way. But because we weren't taught, we weren't trained, we weren't shown how to be filled that way, now we look to fill it somewhere else. And because other people can then applaud us because we were able to make her do these things, make those things happen, now we're looking for more of that.
Yes.
Not even understanding the true principle of what we're doing, because when you do it in the right way, that woman will build your house, and nothing will lay down her life for you, just as you're supposed to cover and protect her. But when we don't understand, because our culture hasn't taught us, and even the church hasn't taught it of what it means, then we abuse it. We abuse it because we're trying to feel something else, and it's a real void. Look, and if you don't know how to feel the need, you will do whatever it takes to feel it, right or wrong.
Exactly.
Reverend, come on, talk that men wear pants is the stupidest, funniest thing I've ever heard.
Now, Badger, you know, I see we're gonna jump in, but you know, I gotta let other people talk too. Now, Badger, I see. Reverend John, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me, man. Because our pastor says something right there, man. We're trying to fill a void, but we got a cup on the table that's full of water, but we're pouring oil in it because we need to mix it. We need to fill it with something. They don't go together.
I come from a different premise of mindset. I remember I met this brother once before, some years ago, and the brother dropped something real heavy on me. He wasn't a church brother; he was a spiritual brother.
Okay.
And I'm not saying people in church aren't spiritual, but I'm just saying we're not talking religion here; we're talking spirituality.
Okay.
And he told me, he said, if you have sex with two women, you got two women, and so you're having unprotected sex with these women, African brother. He said, let's say one woman has a menstrual period on the 15th of every month.
Okay.
And another woman has a menstrual cycle on the 30th. He said, because you are having sex with them, and because every time you ejaculate inside of that woman, not only are you releasing sperm, but you're releasing your blood. He said, your blood, which is in those white blood cells, is going to start mingling and tangling with both of those women. And it's not going to be many days before their periods line up. And the one that was on the 30th and the one that was on the 15th, whether they both start having them on the 20th, they're going to line, their cycles is going to start coming at the exact same time. And it's not because they wanted it, that it's happening because of your blood. And so what I'm saying is this, brother. Yes, women do have power, but the reality of it is those women are the incubators of our blood and our DNA, and therefore children are produced. The reality of it is God has given us the power as men, and we have forfeited that power and given it to the women. I'm not saying we have to be, drag them by the back of the head and all of that. But what I'm saying is the authority and the power is in us. We bequeathed it and given it to them. They complement us. They fulfill us. But by no stretch of the imagination do they carry the mantle of power that God has given us as men. Now, if you yield it over to them like Ahab did to Jezebel, that's on you.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's not going to happen on my watch because I know what's in me. So when that, like Rico was saying, it used to be a time when I was a younger man that I was having sex for a feeling. I long past that at 60. It's not just a feeling. It is not just to conquer, but to enter in not just your body, but in your soul, in your mind.
Come on. Mm-hmm.
This ain't no game. This is not just a game of pleasure only. So, but if you got people still playing in the wave pool, a lot of people still playing in the wave pool, they still chasing the pleasure only, just a feeling and a sensation. But the reality of it is, if you get in her mind and you get in her spirit, then that's when that woman's gonna honor you and call you Lord. You know, a lot of brothers think that because they having sex with a woman, there is a part of her body that they could have had sex with her for 10 years, and she's really never let them all the way inside of her canal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Toussaint. Wow.
She ain't really let you in.
Wow. Wow. Toussaint, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Man, y'all in high cotton tonight.
Okay, that's a new one for me right there. We're in high cotton. Okay.
I'm from the South, man. Yeah, I mean, this is good. This good, man, because the addiction part of it. You see, we're not heart to heart. We're flesh to flesh, and that's the biggest problem.
Yeah,
we're not in. There's a connection, but it's no intimacy. If that makes any sense,
it does. It does. Because a lot of sense.
I want to almost be men being men, a little to the extreme to bring what I want to say. But every man, if you asked him, they are the man.
Yeah. Yeah. Whether they are or not. Yeah.
And so the cross, the way society has taught us and are teaching us, we evolve into not even knowing who we are or what we really want to desire. And Badger mentioned the void, and we need intimacy with the Creator. That's the void.
Yes, sir.
And He has ordained a certain thing between what He has created from the very beginning, and that's what we're supposed to imitate, not create our own avenues of life that we become confused as we are. That's what we are. We're confused.
Yes, sir.
We don't know what we want to do. All we want to hear is, "You're the king. You're the king." And you're not even. And the bad thing about it is, it has come so. And why did Rico? It has come so terrible. I don't know how to express it, but
come on.
We don't even mind. We don't even mind hearing, "You're the king. You're the king."
Wow. And let me do this. I got to go here, man, because we're talking about the male. We talking about the male ego situation right now. We're talking about the male ego situation and how vulnerable it can be. And we want to think that we're the man. We always want to think that we're the man. We in charge. We running this thing. We that's my girl right there. That's my girl. What happens, Rico, when in the midst of you pounding your chest, you find out that your girl been with another man? And what happened if somewhere in your psyche you think that he was just a little bit better than you was at what he doing with him adult activities? What does that mean?
That's when reality kicks in. To be honest with you, you ought to see a baby. Want to see somebody have a baby naturally. That'll let you know something right there. You've been lying. I thought she been fooling me the whole time. I'm like, oh man, look at that, my little boy. He coming on out. She was lying. That head came up out of me. I ain't doing nothing. So, I mean, you can try your best. You know what I'm saying? You better be good at what you do. You better work. I mean, it's like we really have to relate to women a lot, you know, because, you know, we have these situations where we talked about the women not forcefully being human trafficked, but it's trafficking themselves. You know, we always have people ask those questions. What would make a woman go into stripping and feel comfortable doing that, showing her body? What would make a woman get to the point where she prostitutes, sells herself? Much less than that, what makes a woman just decide that she just wants to be a floozy? Not promiscuous, but I mean just down to get with anybody that will get with her. It's the same thing that men that are promiscuous are looking for. They're looking for love in all the wrong places, trying to fill that void. And so, you know, you get numb, you get desensitized, and you will accept any type of intimacy. That was the key word that Dawn said a second ago, intimacy. You know, me, I knew mine came from the fact that I didn't get attention from my father coming up that I really wanted. I didn't get attention from my mother. I was neglected coming up. I didn't get none of that nurturing. So I overcompensated by finding my value and my worth and how many women I could get. So if they said, "Ooh, you cute," "Ooh, this and that," blew my head up. I was like that head first in it. You get what I'm saying? Searching to fill that void that I had been missing all these years. Looking for love in all the wrong places, doing it for the wrong reason, and then having to suffer consequences behind doing those actions. All because I wasn't connecting mentally. I was just connecting physically. So I still didn't never get what I was looking for. Wow. So I mean, you know, y'all know my story. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I'm still celibate because I know what I still was abusing sex. But that's how much power it has. I mean, man, listen, you can make somebody want to cut you
deep, cut you deep.
What you're trying to do. You get what I'm saying? I mean, it can be very powerful in the process of us misusing and abusing it, playing around with something so powerful. So we have to understand and respect those spiritual connections and understand how deep that really is when a person on the other side is giving themselves to you, because you're not the only one that might be trying to fill that void. That other person might be trying to fill that void too. And they might be a little off the rocker. They might not take some of the things that you're doing in the process of you playing and just taking care of your needs.
Exactly. I heard a pastor say this. I want to get it right. Last Sunday, I went to church last Sunday, and the pastor said he was off-centered or something like that. It's something along those lines. He said, "See, sometimes I could be a little off-centered. You know, I could be off-centered or something." But Jamie, good evening, Jamie. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. How's my volume?
Hey, very good, very good.
Okay,
Jamie,
you,
what we're talking about right now, we're talking about how powerful of a drug is sex on America and the world. How powerful is sex? Is a drug, and if you had to compare it to a crack or heroin or opium or whatever it is, would it line up side by side, or would it supersede?
Raheem, I hadn't done any of those, but I would definitely think it would supersede, because you hear people all the time talk about breaking and kicking habits, but not too many people try to kick that habit. You know, they may move on from if the woman was a drug from one to another, but most people aren't trying to kick that one. And the question that you just asked, I was listening to it, and you know, I guess depending on the age of an individual or the maturity of an individual, that question would determine how you get the answer from that. But as you were speaking, I was thinking, you know, it gets to a point where, you know, you realize that what a relationship is, and all those things you describe about what the woman did and all that, it actually wouldn't have to go that far for some people. Just depends on how invested you are. And, you know, when things like that happen, there's normally some indicator. Just depends on how far you want to go with it. So as I listen, I couldn't answer based on the things you stated, but I would definitely say, depending on the relationship and the worth and value, thank God I'm wise enough now that I wouldn't let my testosterone just go and do anything stupid that would cost me.
Exactly.
So I would probably remember that this is someone I thought I loved, and if I was in error, then I need to acknowledge that and kind of move on, or, you know, work it out till we can move on. But that's a very difficult topic, especially depending on how it hits you.
Let me Jamie, I said something about a woman having that power. Can she crush a man's ego? And how she described her experience that she had with him and that she had with him. Can she crush a man's ego?
That depends on if the man has an ego. If that's your ego, all it takes is someone to tell you that it ain't what you called it to be. But when you look at intimacy and lovemaking, it's a little bit more than that. And if you have an idea of what those two are, you're gonna know what you're giving and what you're getting anyway. So you can come back and tell me whatever you want. I just know what I went through. I just know what I gave you based on what you gave me back. So I don't think that would do very much damage to my ego. I'm a little bit more objective than that.
Exactly. And I look at the screen. I pay very close attention to each one of y'all while somebody is talking, man. And Donald Toussaint, there's no way I will come to you right now, brother. There's no way in this world I will come to you right now with where you are. There's no way I will come to you right now. Badger, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Are you sure that's safer?
I don't know. Let me put my hand on my mute button. I do have a mute button. Go ahead.
All right. Man, so I'm highly passionate on this topic. And a lot of it has to do between the way my grandma raised me and, learning from indigenous cultures from around the world. And the one thing I found the most interesting is there is a couple of religions, and I use the word religion very different than most people. When I say religion, I don't mean a person that's practicing a belief that's spiritual. To me, they're just following what somebody else says and whatever. There's no depth to it. And one of the most interesting things I've come across with a lot of the young people my age, I'm 35 and younger than me, is this mentality that they have to dominate a woman or their spouse, thinking that they own them and a lot I'd say probably about 95% of the ones that I've talked to, and I would ask them, why do you think that's how that works? And the common answer was Christianity. And I'd ask them why. And they're like, well, we were taught in church that it's woman's fault, that we ate the apple. They're the ones that seduce us, so we have to control them so we don't, end up going to hell or something along those lines. And it got me curious of how did that develop to the degree that it has, to where instead of masculine, I can't pronounce that word tonight. Masculine energies and feminine energies. You have the female and the male. The female was blessed with the gift of life, giving birth. We're not seahorses, so the males don't give birth, or carry the babies. Is it carrying the babies or give birth? One of the two. So but what I'm trying to get to is, it's one of the reason I became so passionate about it is because the way my grandma raised me is matriarch. Because if a woman's building a house, her mood can alter every single solitary thing in the home. You come home, you yell at your wife. How's that going to affect the kids? How is that going to affect the neighbors? How is it going to affect her mental state and stuff like that? A woman can come home and yell at a guy. Some of us will just shrug it off. Oh, she's having a bad day, so on and so on. But us men and our fragile pride and ego, You know, not all of us, but a huge majority of them. You know, to me, they can't. There's such a lack of depth in learning the difference between just sexual pleasure versus actually making love. Because I feel that if a person
And
truly
that's my
is,
thing. And that's my thing right there, Badger. A lot of people and men and women on both sides on both sides of the aisle, a lot of them don't know the difference.
no,
They have no
dude,
idea what the difference is, and their lives are a part of the problem. They don't
me and
understand
my
it.
wife will literally
Hmm.
tell somebody when we first got together, yes, it started out as kind of like sex. And
Hmm.
then the emotions got involved and it got very, very intimate. And then as
Hmm.
our marriage got along, we worked on our individual selves to be able to connect at a deeper level with each other.
Hmm. Hmm.
We started to experience things in the bedroom that I swear there are some times where we're literally flying in the clouds.
Hmm. Okay.
You know,
Okay.
it's
Let me do this because I want to jump around a little bit. I want to go to Pastor. I want to go to Pastor right now. Let me ask you this question, Pastor. And I'm gonna tell y'all something, gentlemen. We might stay right here the whole night. We might stay right here throughout the whole broadcast. We might. I'm gonna tell you. I got a couple other topics. I got Are you ready to pray? Is one of the topics that I got, and another one is what is your handicap? And I got another one. I got 4 different topics, but we might not get to them. I'm just let you know we
I
might
mean,
not get to
sex can be a handicap real quick.
them. Absolutely, absolutely. Pastor, how many people is married people, husband and wife? How many people is mature enough to understand the difference between having sex and making love?
Ask the question again.
How many married people, grown adult, husband and wife, know the difference or mature enough to know and understand the difference between having sex with your wife and making love to your wife?
Well, you said how many people?
Yes.
I think this is the answer to that question. Even what Badger was saying, basically, it's going to take time to develop in that relationship. You're developing in the relationship just like any other relationship. There is a time where sex simply becomes a function, especially depending upon how immature you are, how young you are when you first get married. It's a function. It's a need. It's a desire. As you grow more and more with your spouse, as you grow more and more in love with them, and even in the Song of Solomon, he talks about looking at the different ways he sees his wife, his spouse, when he's describing her. When he's describing her, he's talking about the intimacy that he's grown, the way he sees her, the way he understands her. He didn't see that when he first got married.
Yeah.
He didn't see that when they first came together.
Mm-hmm.
But it's as he grew. You're supposed to grow together.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to mature in this thing. You're not supposed to be the same way 10 years from now as you were when you first started. There should
Absolutely.
be a process in that.
What do you say to the what do you say to the people that would say that why are you even married if you're not in love? If you're not and I understand even in love there's growth cycles and cycles you have to go through. I understand that. But what do you say to the people that say, yeah, if y'all not in love, y'all shouldn't even be married anyway?
When you say that, my first thing, because remember we started talking about going from sex to making love. So now you're interjecting. If you're not in love, see, this is the whole point.
Yes.
Love is a process of growing. It's a decision that you make every day. When I get up, if my wife doesn't make my breakfast, I don't fall out of love with her.
Come on.
I don't stop loving her. I can say if I don't put gas in her car when I bring her car home and it's on E, she don't wake up and get mad at me and stop loving me. There's a maturity that comes to love. It's a decision that you make. And I'm not just talking about our 23 years of marriage. I'm talking about her parents' 55 years of marriage. I'm talking about my parents' 49 years of marriage. That's what I'm looking at. So it was time. There are times when you don't, you get up and you don't even like each other. Can I just be real?
Come on, tell the truth.
There are times when you don't like each other, but that doesn't mean you stop loving each other. And because of that love, your intimacy then becomes an expression of that love and not the totality of your love. It's an expression. So therefore, everything that you do, everything that you do to make her enjoy that moment, to make her to make her feel at her most expressive in that time. You're not just doing it for you, you're doing it for her.
Absolutely.
Because you love her that much. And therefore, what she does back to you is the same. This is why Paul said in the very vows that he gave, the things that he gave, and I said this before, they are reciprocal. Men, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might present it to himself, a glorious church without having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, so ought men to love their wives. Wives, honor your husbands as Christ, blah, 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 and all those things, right? What he was saying, look, you love her because guess what? She's going to love you back. Woman, you honor him. Whatever you do, you honor him as Christ, because he's going to honor and cover you. It's reciprocal. It's a principle. That's all it is. And that's what he was teaching. So a lot of times we try to do things to take and not give. And that's where it becomes more hurting and more challenging. And that's where we keep going around these cycles. And that's where I think we fall into these breaches, if you will, these valleys, where now we're in this place trying to climb out and get out, but yet we feel stuck and our spouse feels stuck. And now everybody trying to figure out how to get out, not with each other, but away from each other and find pleasure someplace else. Because if we allow sex to become the dominant thing that controls your lives and your marriage, that's what happens. And that's where, if we go back to the original question, that's what's happening in our country. That's what's happening in this world. And it's not confusing. The word talks about it. It's going to happen. It's supposed to happen. But we are supposed to be different, because we're supposed to understand a little more and appreciate a little more. And that's what I think we should really be looking at. That's your wife. She should feel that you love her. And if she does, then she's going to do virtually anything you need her to do. And there's more to it, because it's just not that simple. I think sometimes we take these broader issues and we try to compact them instead of really drilling down on them, because it's not just one thing. It's a little bit more than that.
Exactly. I got kicked out there for a second, y'all. I appreciate y'all keeping it going. If I get kicked out, man, y'all keep this thing going, man. But let me go to Reverend John. Talk to me, brother. What's on your heart right now? Let me unmute you. Hold on for a second. Got you muted there. A little background noise going on. There you go. Talk to me, sir.
Well, when you say background noise, there's no background noise here, because I'm a little different from some of the brothers that you may have on here tonight, because I was married for 25 years.
Yes, sir.
But I don't have a wife. I had a wife. So when you talk about how to treat your wife, I'm exempt from that conversation at this point because of the fact I'm not married. So my conversation, my mindset, my thoughts are a little different, and that what you're saying, it definitely applies to a person that's in a matrimonial situation. But kind of dialing back and throwing in reverse about something we were saying a little bit earlier. I remember older lady told me when I was about 17, we was talking about mastering. And the lady wanted to be intimate with me. And the lady said something to me and I never forgot it. She said, it's not the size of your ocean, it's the motion of your potion.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get involved in all of this size and we got to be all this, it's about understanding that woman, because we're using the word intimacy, but when we really get to a deeper level, the word intimacy should be translated into, I can see intimately into you. I can see into you. And that's when you move in where this other brother Badger was talking about on a more esoteric level that we don't get, where you really can sit there with that woman and look her in the eyes, and both of you guys can really just be naked and make love mentally, or she just wants you to hold her and not even go inside of her, and she could really almost have an orgasm from that because she wants to feel comfortable and secure. She doesn't just want to just have that part at that moment. So I think it's about understanding the person you're with.
Yes.
And trying to dissect exactly what it is that their love language is. Because everybody's love, because as the minister was saying, it also talks to the level of maturity, because the brother with the beard and with the gray, where we are, I'm 60. I don't know, he's 60-ish. Where we are in our 60s, that true, trust, know, and believe. My libido is just as strong now as it was when I was 30. Don't get that confused.
Exactly. And you say Jamie
but
is
my knowledge level.
My
knowledge level and my wisdom level, it can't even be compared. My light didn't come on until I turned 40.
Wow. Jamie, let me, as I said, Minister Jamie OTR, he said you 60 or 60 is in that ballpark. He said in that ballpark. So so you batter up, brother. You at the back, you out the batter's box, you out there on the field now, brother. Talk to me. What's on your heart?
Well, I'm 59. That's close enough. As I was listening to what's being said, if I can go back to my brother first started this conversation about people he talked to, the thought of being raised from a matriarch figure versus the male figure. When you look at all of those things, we weren't all raised the same way. There's no cookie cutter people. And when you go out into the world, you even pick up things that you didn't even have when you left home. So to think that we're all the same would be totally incorrect. To think that we all desire the same woman would be totally correct.
Yes.
There's a whole lot of things goes into a marriage. And someone said something, I really want you to think about this. They said that as you grow older, you should love the person differently. There's some people that's been married 50 years can tell you they married their childhood sweetheart. Now, whether you call it love, infatuation, or whatever you want to call it, those were some things there I would hope that if I was them that I could have held on to in my marriage, then somehow outgrown. So when it comes to relationship, there's a lot of things that go into them. Some people will look at a relationship and say, I would have left that person a long time ago. There's somebody else say, I don't know how she put up with him or how he puts up with her. And there's somebody else, they defend their wife or husband before they defend themselves. So when you look at relationships, it all goes into what's in the heart and what's been put into it. And we never know what that is. So as we speak here, we're just generalizing in a sense, because when you talk about love making, there's some people that just have they're high strung, and there's some people that are not. If you look at astrology, not that I'm into all of that, but there's some women that just to be in there, they think they've done enough for you right there, and there's some others you might want to kick out the bed from some of the things they picked up or learned in life. So when you talk about all those things there, that's kind of what defines that person. But as you grow together, some things it's like going through a fire. There's some things that just burn off.
Exactly.
So the more maturity you have, the more time you have, and if you're making any type of effort to love, stay with her, however you all want to see it, is one of those things where you come to respect, appreciate, accommodate each other more.
Exactly. I'm gonna go to Rico, and then we have somebody on the phone. I'm gonna go to the phone line as well. But before I do that, let me let you all know the phone lines are open. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We'd love to have your input. What we're talking about today. Normally we have 4 square conversation, but we got 1 square tonight. We're gonna stay here for the duration of the broadcast. We're not gonna be able to jump off this one. We're talking about how powerful is that drug called sex on America. How powerful is that drug called sex on America? Is it more powerful than crack or heroin or opium or whatever they be taking out there? Is it more powerful than that? Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
It's very powerful and very accessible. A lot more accessible than it was in the past. Children right now are exposed to it, even in cartoons. Not only men on men and women on women, but just sex, period. They're being exposed to it. I can remember when it was real hard for me to get hold to a Penthouse book. And I remember my first time seeing a Penthouse book. And man, when I tell you I was intrigued, very captivated. You know, and I was wondering, you know what I'm saying, what's so interesting about this? I mean, I like what I see, you know, but I would always get in trouble for it. My dad would catch me, boy, I'm gonna whoop your butt, put them books down. I'll put them down, man, and go to take me a nap. Maybe I won't get no whooping later on. He'd always let me go with it. You know, that I was doing boy things, you know what I'm saying? And him and his friend, they thought it was cute. But now you have porn, straight, flat out, triple X porn that these kids have access to. And they are growing up so knowledgeable to the point to where they don't respect it the way it should be respected. So now, you know, it's so powerful now that it has become dominant, that it has become the more I'm gonna say prevalent maybe aspect, or maybe, you know what I'm saying, trait that people are looking for, the asset that people are looking for, because they dig into it so soon. And so, I mean, you know, that when people put that first, you know, like I said, they use it for marketing, they use it to actually meet who they're going to be interested in. You know, they get that sexual attraction. So we wonder now why the divorce rates are so high compared to in the past. Well, it's because just recreational sex became recreational. Imagine that. Put those two words together. The power of sex. You know what Badger said earlier about the woman having that power to a certain extent. I not, you know, trying to make it religious, but you can also use that to sort of show as a reason why a woman is supposed to be virtuous and not promiscuous, because she determines if that house or that home or that family belongs as a family. She determines whether or not that man is going to be the children of all of her, or the father of all of her children. So, you know, when you think about the verse that y'all use, I was like, man, that, you know, when you hear women say, well, why is it when men do it, y'all this and that, but when women do it, we this and that? It's because y'all have so much power to dictate or control the direction of your family, your children, who, if they even know where they came from. You have the power to dictate if all these children have the same fathers or not, same relatives. And so, you know, I was looking at this show last night. It was my first time seeing it. This first time seeing this episode, and it was this woman said she had 6 children. All of them had different daddies. She said she liked variety. She actually tried to make it seem like this was something she intentionally did, and this was some new form of type of thought process or ideology that was going to make sense. Then come to find out the last baby daddy was the baby daddy that she was pregnant with is the last baby daddy brother. This was right before she tried to justify what I look like being tied to one man and having all my children by him and then having to deal with him all my life. And I'm like, well, you got to deal with 6 different men now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is. But she tried to justify because she likes sex that much. She likes sex that much that she excused her accidental pregnancies as intentional. She said that she got pregnant by 6 different dudes intentionally because she liked variety.
We fall in a real deep hole, brother. We fall in a real deep hole. Let me go to the phone line. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Raheem, Cornelius, man, chiming in. What's up, brother?
Elder Cornelius, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
All is well, man. Been busy.
Good deal. I gotta ask you the question, brother. Gotta ask you the question. How powerful, excuse me, how powerful is this thing called sex? This drug called sex. How powerful is it, man, on America and the world? How powerful?
Oh, it's it's very powerful. Unfortunately, you know, and when operated wrong, it caused devastating consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing when it comes down to sex. We're not understanding what sex is meant to be used for properly. It causes so many pitfalls and mess ups and destroys lives and all this different type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, without respecting it for what God intended for it to be. And that's so it's very powerful and the way that's connected to sex. I don't know if anybody brought it up or not because I just really got on 2 minutes ago. Is lust. Because if people actually think when they're having sex with somebody, they claim that they love them, but they actually lusting after them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they quit. I'm hard to pronounce the word right now. Getting tired tongue, but they're putting sex with lust, or love with lust. I'm sorry, with love with lust, and they're messing up a lot of stuff. So, and that's something that where sex is good, but long as it's good as the proper use of it. But when it's misused, it becomes devastating, and that's unfortunately in the world as a whole, in general, as a whole, people use it wrongly to either control, to manipulate, or to because one of the shows I used to watch back in the day, the Maury Povich show. You are not the father.
Yes.
You got a woman up here talking about them went through, like my man said earlier, 10 different guys. Here went through 10 different guys. You are not the father. I mean, come on, man. This child don't know who their father is.
Yeah.
That is a devastating effect on the child's life when they don't know who their father is. Because someone is using sex improperly and cause an effect on that. So I'll leave it at that.
Good deal. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
Man, loaded as always. You know, being, like I said before, you know, the way I grew up and things like that, and the things I've learned over the last 10 years of being married to my amazing wife, you know, it's, the way I think is unique. I haven't met very many people, you know, outside of, you know, Aboriginal stuff that think like I do. You know, so it's very interesting to be in this day and age, you know, when most people view sex as a toy. It's nothing more than a toy. You know, it's just, hey, you know, I've got these 5 girls, you know, so on, let's brag, and so blah blah blah. You know, my comment to those kinds are usually, so how many diseases have you picked up? How many have you transferred to the other one, you know? And they're like, wait, no, I'm clean. I'm like, well, when was the last time you were tested? You know, and when it comes to women, you know, one of the things I tell women quite often is, you know, why belittle yourself so much to allow things like that to happen? You know, I am not a believer that men should be the ones in power. I'm 100% for 100-100 relationship.
Okay.
You know, this ego and things like that, because, like, honestly, those of us that were married, still married, so on. If we went, if all of us right now took whatever money's in our bank, went and bought the biggest TV that Best Buy has, and comes home, what's going to happen?
Man, you might be in some trouble if you ain't talk to your wife about it. If you just tell me,
so are you controlling in a relationship, or is she controlling, or is it 100-100? So yes, I'm a matriarch person, and I do think that women have more of a brain to kind of run this world than men do, especially with the way most men think nowadays. A good woman. Let me make sure that's clear. A good woman.
But now see that there lies the issue right there. How do you determine unless you go through the process? Let me say this. Hold on. If unless you go through that process and make the determination that she is or is not a good woman, it could be the very it could be the very destruction of everything. Because if you put your trust in her and say that because of the fact, and I understand what you're saying, I'm not saying this toward anything that you say, but if an individual put all your trust in her and it is determined that she is not, quote unquote, who she says she is or that good woman, then you sacrifice everything and possibly lost everything because you entrusted in the same woman. And that's the same thing that happened with the man. If you entrust him to everything, if a woman entrusts him to everything and she find out that he's not who he say he is, she sacrificed herself to a point where she may not be able to come back from that.
Well, see, that's why, like, to me, one of the cool concepts of, you have a men's council and a women's council. A women's council is pretty much going to go, all right, farming, blah, 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 blah. Men's council, war, not war, kind of thing. But you go present it to the women's council, hey, we want to go to war, then women can say no.
Okay. I'm with you.
In my eyes, why, if the woman is looking at this going, why is this war being fought over? And if this is men being egocentric going, I want that oil, I want that land, woman's going to say you're stupid. Now, when I was talking about going to find some good women, to help bring some change in this world, I'm talking about those grandmas that are in those communities that every single person knows and calls their grandma. Because those women have a reputation.
Exactly. Let me do this, but let me say this right here, because I like to deal with both sides of the coin. I like where you went with that, but I still like to deal with both sides. Sometimes grandma in this day and age is 35 years old. She don't know as much. Let me go to Toussaint and Pastor. I know you say you have some. I'm gonna come to you right after that. Toussaint, what's on your heart, brother? Are we in the deep woods now, brother?
Well, man, what you talking about? Woods? Is it a forest? You can't see the forest. What is it?
We're in the deep water, brother.
Man, look, and I joke and clown, but if we don't go down and return back to the foundation, to the real meaning of it all, we're gonna continue to be lost, and we're gonna be more and more confused, and we walk ourselves into, you talking about a forest. It's mass confusion now, because you finding this thing in kindergarten.
Yes, sir.
First grader, elementary school, and junior high, that it is to get a thrill. They're not even worrying about whether it's intimate or whether it's love or whatever. They just want to do. They just want to have an action that they see going on.
Come on.
That they
can't even really identify what it is. They have no clue.
Come on.
And they're experimenting with something. And here we are. You look, and Badger mentioned Christianity, or no, he said religion.
Yes.
And that has become another form of religion, religious activity. If I can say that, Minister Jamie and Pastor Brown, y'all can say that it's a religious act now. I mean, it's kind of like we treat it like it's communion. Like we serve it in Lord's Supper or something.
Wow.
Get back down to it. If you get it right, the love that you share is supposed to be in relations to Christ and the church. So, and then you love that's created. And check this out. The greatest love that was manifested was done without a sexual act. It was actually spiritual.
Come
Run
on.
and tell
Say
that.
it. Come on. Say it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pastor, I'll come to you. Absolutely. Oh, finish your thought, brother. Finish your thought. Toussaint?
No. I mean, it's here's the thing. Let's go back a little bit, and I'm gonna shut up. Look at how powerful this thing is. You have the sons of God that looks at the children of men, the women, and they say, I got to get, real men being men, I got to get me some of that.
Yeah.
To the point now, and it got so to the point where it got so wicked that God has to come and say, I got to start all over with this.
Wow. So that's good.
We're not careful. We're going to be right back where we started.
Exactly. Will it go around in circles? Will it fly high like a bird up in the sky? Pastor, what's on your heart? And Cornelius, coming to you next, brother.
You know, I was thinking about some of the things Badger said, and really some of the things that Minister Jamie said, I think is sort of relevant for where we are in this part of the conversation. Remember when he was talking before, he talked about something that we don't really freely talk about, which is, he said that there's preference, there's choice, that's a part of our experience.
Absolutely.
Everyone isn't supposed to like the same person. Everyone isn't supposed to like the same thing. And a lot of times our experience in life helps to shape and mold those things, whether it's from your youth, your experience with other young, ladies or whatever, ups and downs, good and bad. It helps to shape who we are and those things. And we learn how to respond through those experiences. We should learn. I think part of the challenge is that oftentimes we're not cognizant of the fact that this is supposed to be this learning and growing experience. A lot of times we get to where we're like, okay, this is where it is. I like this. This is where it's supposed to always be. But we aren't going to always be the way we are.
Exactly.
Years down the road, the way we are now, we're going to learn more. I think Minister Reverend John, I think it was John, right? He was talking about how his mentality, older, physically, there are things that are very similar, but his mentality as he's older is different than what he was when he was younger. That's the way we're supposed to be. We're supposed to continue to grow, and everyone's experience isn't the same. There are so many. I have, a lot of wonderful guys that God has placed in our church. And, some of them are very bold about being good dads, about being good fathers. They were raised by good fathers. And so they strive to be a good father. They find it offensive by so much media play that's given to virtually emasculate men, saying that all men don't take care of their children. All men don't take care of their women. All men, and creating this idea that that's the way things are, and that's not. Likewise, even on the other side, that we almost deify women, but yet, just like Brother Rico just shared, which helped one of our listeners to understand that there's women out there that are just as loose with their bodies, not understanding their value, and therefore misusing it. So it goes to show, I'm using to show like this inequity.
Come on.
There's a lack of wisdom and knowledge and understanding that we are supposed to have, that we've got to, at some point, as a human species, come to realize that yes, sex is a part of what we are. It's a part of who we are. We will create. It was a part of what was created within us. But it's just that, a part. It should not drive you. It should not designate you and who you are. And therefore, a lot of times people have the total opinion about a total gender of the entire human race because of their experience.
Come on.
And no one is there to help teach them and show them to heal from that. To heal from that, and then show them the right way, another side. And that's where I think in humanity, we must get to a place where we're not simply limited by our experience. Yes, it's our experience. Yes, it's a part of who we are, but we can't be limited by that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cornelius, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart?
This is a very interesting conversation. I wish I'd have came in earlier. I had a chance. I got a lot to say, but I'm gonna try to limit it on this because I'm as I was listening to Pastor, I'm over when you told me you're coming to me next, I'm over toiling my mind. Should I go personal or should I just keep it general? And I'm gonna try to mix it in a little bit of both.
Okay.
Here. And the first thing I would start off and say, you heard those saying sex sells. And if you notice, when it comes down to men, those saying how though we as men, we're stimulated by what we see, where women are stimulated by what they hear.
Yeah.
And you will always wonder how one of the most not handsomest guys gets the best looking girl. Some of the best looking girls, because they call it the gift of gab. And I remember my father used to always teach me, well, you got to learn how to talk to a woman, talk out of draw. He told me that. And teach me all these things. And so I was learning, I would watch him and different things like that. And he would take me back and forth to work. And he would look at these women at my job. Next thing I know, they done went home with him. I'm like, Pop, how did you end up getting home? Different things like that, So my whole goal was at that time in my life was to see how many women I can knock off at the job, because the job I worked for in the warehouse was a warehouse where I had a bunch of women. And mostly sisters, So, and that was the whole thing. So you learn these things, these gifts to gab and stuff like that, and you end up trying to do what you can do. So me and some of the guys would be in competition to see how many women we can get. And all these different things. And then you look down in life, you see that, like the NFL, for example, but you got women. Have y'all seen the women's professional league that they call themselves putting out? And if you ever notice it, they got them playing in bikinis and bras.
Yep.
And shoulder pads and a little helmet. If you ever seen it. Sex sells.
Yes, sir.
If you look at professional wrestling, whoever was whoever like professional women. Yeah,
yes.
They got the women now. How they dress in stripping.
Yep.
They're athletic, but most of the guys, they're paying attention to the shape of a woman, and that would draw them in. But these women got skills; they can wrestle, they jump and move and do like the guys do. They got more skills now, but back in the day, during the time when the rock era and all that stuff, or they called it the attitude era, it was all about sex. Sex sales.
Exactly.
That would build up this brand, all this stuff. So then you look at it, and I'm gonna end it with this. I think about this. One of my biggest issues was lust. That's something that God had to deliver me from. Because I was caught up on pornos. I was able to get access to dirty magazines and watching Triple X movies and all this stuff coming up when I was in my early teens and going to my 20s and all this stuff. But I never would forget this. I'm sure that I may have told this boy before. How the enemy works and uses this against you. And it had to break me to receive my wife. I ended up being attracted to a woman at the job, and she claimed that she was a woman of God and different this and this and that. God was telling me in his word, it's not good for a man to touch a woman until you are married.
Exactly.
But I was still struggling in my heart with lust. So when I go over this girl's house, I'm trying to be cool with it. But the Bible tells us, shine the very presence of evil. I didn't shine it. So when I hooked up with her, I went over there. I got to doing what I did. Next thing I know, do you know this woman ended up pulling out a Bible and turned on gospel music while I'm laying up in the bed burnt naked.
Wow.
And condemnation hit me so heavy that I cried, man. I looked at him, got on my knees. I called myself, put my clothes on, grabbed her hand. I did her pray. I wasn't feeling nothing. Went downstairs, looked in the mirror, crying like, God, please forgive me for what I've done. And man, I went into a state of depression. And after all that, I made a covenant with God to say, God, I will never touch another woman again until you marry me. And it took me 8 years to stay celibate after that, to live for God till he blessed me with my wife. And I had to get that a point of time to break me from the lust to get delivered so I can live for a holy lifestyle. And that's why I say sex is dangerous, but if it's not used properly and not did it in the will of God, you're going to find yourself with a lot of bad situations, like sexual transmitted disease, like kids out of wedlock, all these different things that will you will destroy a child's life because they're feeling abandoned because you never got the opportunity to build a true relationship with the woman that God has put you to have. And you got all these other issues that can turn into generational curse. So that's just my take on it, man.
Amen. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. I love the transparency, man, that everybody's displaying tonight, man. You know, because I know in my heart of hearts, man, I know that we're helping some people, man. There's a lot of people that's actually tuning in tonight, and I don't know if y'all are sharing it, but there's a lot of people that's tuning in tonight, man, and they're hearing what we're saying, and this is coming from men. This is coming from men. I had a young lady. She said, that's powerful, man. And I wish I could scroll back up and get back to the part that she said. But she said it's powerful to see men coming here and actually just pouring out their hearts. Man, is what God is doing is working. Jamie, talk to me, brother. You got the floor. What's on your heart?
You know, I'm listening, and I have this saying that in life we're either part of the problem or part of the solution.
Yes, sir.
And Badger, not to throw off on you, but your math is a little off. You know, when you say 2 people with 100, there's no compromise there. That doesn't leave room. At some point, somebody has to rule by something, be it a matriarch or a patriarch. But my point is, I always tell my wife, when it comes to a conversation, I expect your input. But when a decision is to be made, I will make that decision with your input. And somewhere in there, when you have that understanding, it eliminates a lot of discussion, a lot of heartache, and somewhere it really keeps the peace. But I also wanted to say this, Raheem, it's about education. If you think about what we are saying here, we're discussing some problems, but now let's look at some ownership of it. I don't know how many of you all ever heard this, but it says a nation can rise no higher than its woman. And the reason for it says it's woman is because the woman raises the children. She pours more into them than the father does. So when it comes to the woman, a woman usually is not going to do any more than a man allow her. So when you're in a relationship where anything goes and we just respecting each other, if there's no discipline, you know, there's a lot you sacrifice, not just in your home, but your child is going out to marry somebody else's child. So when we start looking at that, it all goes back to the home. And someone had made reference earlier, there's a thing called lust of the eye. You know, as a man, I often would tell my wife about, you know, how people dress when I see things on television. And the reason I'm so objective to that is if I don't have a counter thought, that thought subconsciously is going to be entertained by my mind. So I call it something so I can properly catalog it. Because if I didn't, I got to call it what it is. And a sexy woman is a sexy woman. But if that appearance is the type thing you know you would want your child to have, your wife to be, then it sort of takes away from it. But somewhere down the line, I mean, go back to your question. I didn't really get a chance to answer it. You said about sex in America or wherever. When you look at what sex has done, if you look at our immorality, you think about, like, there's people today, probably like Badger, that has this great respect for family. But some of them actually have children that's in another family being raised by another man along with his family and the child they left behind. There is so much ignorance out there that we've gone through that we need to be able to identify and correct. And it goes back to education. If we don't tell our daughters how much trouble that little ass behind her can get her in, if we don't tell our sons about that little lust that's out there, and definitely don't want them to think it makes them a man, because if that's the case, they're hearing that, the other young men are hearing that, and before you know it, by the time you want to talk about the birds and the bees, they've already had the honeysuckles. So we need to be aware. Education is very important, and we have never been more lacking in that than we are today. That's why we have the problems we have with sex.
Absolutely. 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. We have 20 more minutes before we get out of here. Gonna make our rounds. Gonna go around. I hadn't touched Toussaint in a minute, so I'm gonna go back to him. Badger, I saw your post. I'm coming to you as well. But Donna, what's on your heart?
No, I'm interested to know where Badger's going, because one thing I'll say this, I bet you believe that I can't come over and run your house, because it's not gonna work.
No.
We say, you know, I know one thing, that, and I heard it, you know, the 50-50 is a 50-50. We hear 100-100, we hear different things, but we don't marry, or we don't engage, or we don't connect with the same women. And I know some women that you can give them 100 and they're gonna give you 20.
Okay, we're gonna leave that right there. Badger, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me. Hold on, Donna. You finish your thought. Brother.
No, I'm good.
Lord Jesus. Lord, my Jesus. Badger, what's on your heart?
I don't always know I'm up to something. So the comment I made, 100-100, I was actually surprised nobody caught it. What I meant by that is me and my wife give 100% of each other to each other in our relationship. Just like I give 100% to my kids, and I give 100% to creation. It's the effort.
Let me ask you this question, Badger, because, you know, a lot of times people say stuff and I don't comment. Not that I don't catch it, but I just you know, keep it moving. You said that several times. I could count at least 5 or 6 times where you said 100. But let me ask you this question: where's all these? If you got 100% and you're giving 100% here, and and you're giving 100% here, and you're giving 100% here. Where are all the 100% coming from? Because there's only 100% that's on the table.
Exactly.
So how you gonna get 100% to give to this person? And I'm gonna find another 100% to give to this person. I'm gonna find another 100% to give to this person, and I'm gonna find another 100% to give to myself.
You asking where the sacrifice is?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Compromise, any of that.
Let Badger go. And I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Badger.
I am finding it hard for words, so I'm going to do my best.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To me, because I do my best at all times, I'm always doing my best to be at that 100%. If it's just me interacting with my wife, which to me, my wife and kids are part of creation, and how I honor them is honoring creation. So to me, giving 100% to your wife is the same as giving 100% to your child. It's the same as giving 100% to God.
Okay.
Because it is a constant state of working. One of the points I was trying to get to earlier is you have to also get to know yourself to get a deeper relationship with another human being. Because if you have all these walls, you have all this trauma, how close can you get to another human being? Instead of it, is it just going to continue being sex for the rest of your life? Or are you going to work on yourself and learn how to open up, to listen, to connect? Because to me, when you do that, especially when people will talk about being celibate and all these amazing things, there's times where me and my wife, we don't have to do any kind of physical activity. And I didn't know that was possible. But boy, howdy is it. And but the reason I say 100 is it was a teaching that was passed down to me, is if you give it your all and you do your best to be honest, to not only to yourself, but to the people that are around you. You give them your 100%. Even if you're tired, you still do your best. Even though you are in that tired state, yes, physically you might be at 20%. But it's the effort. How much effort are you willing to put in yourself and the relationship to get to that deeper connection, that deeper level, be it with your wife, your kids, creation?
That's good.
I'm hoping I've cleared up the 100 thing.
You absolutely did. You absolutely did. Good did, and I like how you did that, brother. Definitely, and I appreciate it as well. I'm gonna tell y'all something. I had a friend back in Greensboro, North Carolina. She was dealing with this guy, and I know Rico. I know he loved her. I know he did. That was my boy. I know he loved her, and she loved him, but she left him for another guy. And the reason why she did that, she said that he's not loving me enough. He's not loving me enough. And I asked her the question after all said and I said, look at now, you say he's not loving you enough, but I know he's giving you all that he don't have anything else to give. He's giving you all that he have. Now I'm not gonna say that she was wrong for leaving, because maybe she just desired more. But if he's giving her all that he have, he don't have any more. So what do you say to that, Rico?
Well, plain and simple, he might not be able to reach spots that other people don't reach before inside her body. She just can't deal with it no more because she got those desires. She know what that feel like, and she need that again, and that happens.
Yeah.
Some men just cannot fulfill their women.
Look at Donna.
And the women, they try to deal with it as long as they can for whatever reason. But maybe love didn't know, maybe love wasn't enough.
Okay, Jim.
Maybe the
And
money,
really wasn't love.
maybe the money was a factor, an influence that made them say, well, you know what, I could deal with it, girl. I seen a video the other day with this old woman, man. She may have been 60-something years old, and her grandson was in the closet recording her.
Oh yeah, I
was
saw
on the
that.
phone talking to her girlfriend, and she was talking about how bow-legged fine this
Yeah,
man
yeah.
was, and then her friend said, "Girl, he look." Oh, he say a thing look. And everything went sideways. Then she said, "Well, you know what, girl? He got some money though."
Yeah, I saw that.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe that money won't last, but you know that really goes to show you how out of order we are. You ask a question, and the question is very simple. You know, when you look in the eyes of everybody that you see every day, when you look and you find out about the people that existed in the past and the potential people that may exist in the future, you ask how powerful is sex? Sex is the only natural way that we can create life.
Yes.
There are two definitions for sex. This goes to show you how out of order we are. Because but Cornelius said something a second ago, and I had been saying it earlier about sex selling. I've seen some videos of women playing basketball in thongs. They probably got more views in 1 year than the WNBA has in its entire existence. Men will not watch that WNBA for nothing. I don't care how pretty them girls is in them basketball uniforms. Men ain't watching that WNBA. But let them put on some lingerie.
It's like the lingerie football league.
So you
like
know,
the lingerie football league they got.
Exactly. So you know, you take that and put it in the mainstream and just make that normal and desensitize everybody to it, and then all of a sudden now you don't realize how important it is for real. The true reality of it is that is the closest thing that can put you in the mind of a God. That is the closest thing that can make you a God. It's sex. Without sex, you can't create life naturally. Not between a man and a woman. But let me tell you these definitions though. One definition as a noun says chiefly with reference to people, sexual activity, including specifically sexual intercourse. And then the second one says either one of the two main categories, male and female. See, we left that part out. That's how important sex is too. Because without a man and a woman, you can't have us. You can't have this beautiful thing, this beautiful creation called life. We can't create life no more without a man and a woman, but it's so desensitized now, and we are so far out of order that men want to be women and women want to be men, and they think they're going to create life and sustain this beautiful thing we got going on. It's a lot of confusion going on. And people really don't understand how powerful sex is as a man and a woman and what you can do with it. It can make you a God. It won't make you a God. It'll just help you do what God did, and that's create life.
Exactly. Jamie, you want to do you got to get out of here. You want to do your closing remark, Jamie?
Yeah, I got to go, but Rico made reference to sex making you a god. I think it is just the opposite. It could make you less than a god. You know, when we think about God's creation, when we defile the things that were intended for good, man was put here to reproduce. That's really what the term sex is about. But when we get into these different attributes and the things that come along with it that cause people to inappropriately indulge in it, that's where the problem comes in. When we talk about lust is a thing within its own self. You know, we as men, even today, we have to catch ourselves if somebody walk up on us too quickly, looking the wrong way, because the eye is just that way. We have to train ourselves to be the way we are. There are others who ain't worried about that training. They just looking and they just lusting. So that becomes a thing. And to categorize all that under sex isn't even fair to God's creation, because he put us here and everyone knows it's called sexual intercourse, as Rico said, that ends up in reproduction. It's unfortunately that not everybody gets that privilege, and those who are enjoying it, who are not authorized that privilege, is where the problem comes in at. And we've made it such a common thing now. You can't even watch television without, you know, it used to be to the point if you saw somebody wearing some tight pants, your eyes were stuck on them. Now they got nipple, they got a string up their butt, the cheeks all out, chest all out. And believe it or not, when we were young people, I can speak for myself, stuff like that used to, you know, I had to catch myself. And it's still the way with young people today. We have to remember how we came from, and the same trick that they used on us, it's got even greater today. So just as we had to defend ourselves and experience those things, imagine what our children are going through today. It's the thing we have to be conscious of, and to have a conversation that's this encompassing about sex. And we really hadn't talked about the violations as it pertains to sex. We make it sound as though sex is a negative thing. Sex really isn't. It's all the other things surrounding it that really should have been the topic, but they didn't get in the conversation because sex in itself is a broad topic. So I just like to leave y'all with the thought that sex is a beautiful thing. But if you're not doing it properly according to God's word, it's a very costly thing. You can ask almost any male figure in your life. They can give you their personal testimonies or somebody's close to them.
Exactly.
Do and be responsible.
Exactly. Rico wanted to say something to you, I think. Rico?
Yeah, I was saying I had cleared that up earlier when I had said that about being a God. And I said, well, nah, not being a God, but doing what God did.
Right. Okay. Life. I got you. Yeah. Right.
Good deal.
Peace and blessings, everyone. I'm out.
Hold on, brother. We're going to get out of here. We only got 7 minutes. We'll go around and let everybody say their closing remarks. What would you like to say in your closing, Jamie?
That was my closing. I just like to say, you all be true to yourself, true to the other individual in your life. And remember, in marriage, when the two becomes one, all this 150%, you're maintaining 100. If it takes 75 over here, that means somebody's giving 25. If it takes 25 over here, somebody's getting 75. Whatever it takes, keep it straight. Peace.
Good deal. Good deal. Cornelius, in your closing, sir.
Hey, glad I get a chance to make it on here tonight. Raheem, always a blessing, man, to listen in when I get a chance.
Always a blessing to have you, brother.
Listening. Hey, man, my closing would be, sex is good. I agree 100%. But we have to be responsible and do it the right way, because if we misuse it, like I said earlier, it will cause a lot of bad situations that people miss, and because of lust in their heart. And then I'm really recognizing what it really was truly meant for, and that's the whole purpose of what it is. God intended sex to be good for us and for us to procreate and to enjoy our counterpart. Not the same part, but the counterpart.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to make that specific. And all that, thank God for each and every last one of you. God bless Raheem. I'm about to get back to work. I can't stand for the benediction. I got to go myself.
Yes, hey, I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Toussaint, in your closing, sir. Toussaint? Maybe I need to say Donald. Can you hear me down there? Is Donald frozen? Badger, in your closing, sir.
You know, I know I talk weird and use some outside of the box terminologies. You know, and a lot of it just goes where I'm from and how I was brought up. You know,
ain't nothing wrong with it. You come from your own experiences, brother.
The most important thing is learning what is important in life when it comes to deep spiritual connection with the world. And mine got stronger when I met my wife. And the more we've gotten connected, and like I've told you before, if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be coming on these shows, because I don't do things like this. She gave me strength to come up here to be able to do this stuff.
Absolutely. That's good. That's good. Toussaint, we tried to come to you earlier, man. I don't know what happened to you, man. You were sitting there like this.
I know. I stand past the pool of Mississippi. It's hard to get internet over here.
There you go. Well, I'm glad you got it, brother. What you want to say in your closing?
No, man. Look, when we start getting serious and go back to the foundation of how he intends, we're going to be on the track. Not on the right track, because there is only one track.
Come on.
But if you and we don't wake up to the sense of our duties, you think we are self-destructive now. Just keep on saying good morning like the old folks used to say.
Exactly. Rico, in your closing, sir.
Sex is so important that I brought it up a second ago about procreating. And it should be honored and respected as such. It shouldn't be disrespected and dishonored the way it is and thrown around as loosely as it is. But now we see what the repercussions are, and it ain't getting better, it's getting worse. We have plenty of I won't say, plenty of evidence showing what the abuse of sex can do and how powerful it is. You have so many diseases. You have so many children being molested and raped. We talked about human trafficking. Let's talk about people that actually get killed behind infidelity. Just because they crossed that line and had sexual intercourse and disrespected the gift that we have to create life. That's how important it is. So you can actually get caught up and don't even think to check somebody's ID. Just thinking with the wrong part of your body, trying to fulfill your desires. And all of a sudden now you don't mess with somebody that's a little too young. She looked grown. And she said she was grown, and she said all the right things. So she looked and said and walked and talked like a duck. Now you got them metal bracelets on your wrist. So you know that's how powerful it is. When you abuse it, there are consequences that come with it. If you don't know how powerful it is, abuse it and you will find out.
Real quickly, very quickly. Pastor, in your closing, sir.
Real quickly, good. It was a great show tonight. Impressed and blessed by the intimacy of everybody and the transparency of everybody. You know, sex is something that is very important. It is the cradle of life. It's where life begins, but it's also what sustains life. In other words, it's how we share and how we grow together, and understanding that is truly where the power lies. So I think if we begin understanding that, that's where we'll find the power and we can apply it the way God intended.
Exactly. What I find so amazing is how the enemy could take something that God created to be so beautiful and turn it into something so ugly. God created it to be so beautiful, man. Go out there and reproduce and replenish the land, and it's supposed to be a beautiful thing. It's supposed to be a beautiful thing, the way it was created. But then here come that enemy, and he want to take it and tell you to eat the fruit, eat it, and it's gonna open up your eyes, and you're gonna see. Maybe we shouldn't have done that. Where would we be? Where would we be right now had they not eating or partook, I guess I should say, of that forbidden fruit? Where would we be? It's been a great broadcast, y'all. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates and Real Men Being Men for being a part of your day. It is now 10:01. You're about to exit Real Men Being Men. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us, because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody and give them a hug, because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you could do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. We shine some of this light on you from, I'm going to say, the Morning Glow. Real Men Being Men. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Take care of each other. Love you. And please be blessed.